I don't know if anyone's there, but I'm doing this mostly for my own edification. There's no reason for me to do this except that I've got all these astrodoodles from months ago, and I thought, before I toss them or burn them or, I don't know, whatever else was going to happen with them, I thought I would just have a little quick sentimental type of, go over. Doesn't show that there's anybody here right now. Of course, it's a Monday morning. I wouldn't expect anybody. But looking over some of these patterns, for example, this major crisis period here, the Scorpio-Taurus axis, global financial crisis. Yep, told you. Look at this beast. You remember this? 3rd of November. It's scary as hell, and it's also as beautiful, as amazing as you can imagine. This is almost a grand sextile, where you can see the green sextile arrangement. It's not fully complete, but the really dominant thing about it was these multiple oppositions, very acute at the time. 3rd of November. Talk about stress, man. Financial stress, health and healing, revelations of truth. Oh, God. Yep. And so we're over here. Pluto was over here at 27.5 degrees. Okay, so we're going back to the end of October. Huge emphasis on global financial crisis, which is happening now live. Again here, multiplied over and over. Okay, conversations of World War III have now become semi-mainstream. That was back in mid-October. Let's see, going back to, I don't have a date here. That's weird. Well, that must have been like about the 18th or something, 19th. And you can see the pressure building up on Pluto over here. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of stability. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, this is when people were asking, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And we did a whole series of videos, if you remember, for the, I think it was the Libra something, new moon or something like that, full moon, whichever it was. And these were all the videos that I put out. They're on the channel. Libra new moon eclipse. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Selfhood, self-sovereignty, self-identity in question, of course, because on the South Node, we're still dealing with this, by the way. On the South Node, it's the big questions here on the North Node are oh, okay, this was at the time of the eclipse, okay. Who am I? I'm looking in the mirrors of self without the 7th house reference. I can't go back, must evolve. So it's like being stuck between, or where do I go? The future or the past? The new moon eclipse was there in the 2nd and 8th house. Okay, so again, very much to do with relationships with money, other people's money, your investments. God, all this stuff on the Libra. Huh, amazing. I didn't know I did all that. Okay, I'm just whizzing through. Can't see. Oh my God, all these 12. Oh my God, look at all this. All this stuff for every sign. Jeepers, man. That's a lot. I can't believe we did that. That's an awful lot of work. Wow. That's what I used to do all the time. Oh, gosh. Okay, we're getting back into early October now. Back to 2023. And this is when the North Node, South Node axis was heavily squared by Pluto. Keep going. Look at that. Magic triangle. Magic kite there. Bit of respite. That was a long-term thing as well. Look at that. Look at that. See that one? And that one? We kept going on about that for quite a while. I remember now. God, man. Where are we? 30th of July. It was a different world, wasn't it? Well, everybody knew that something very scary was on the horizon, and it's now mainstream conversation. Let me just check in here. Oh, goodness. Hi, this is TarotLumination. I just came in from outside. It's pretty chilly out there, and I'm warming up with a little cup of herbal tea. Thank you very much. And just a few things that I wanted to air. Some of you know that I have a bit of interest in a sort of a prepper type of lifestyle. I can't really do it because this is not an environment where it's effective in the traditional sense. The real, like, hardcore off-grid preppers, they're all way up in the north, up in Canada, and up in the southeast, over in the southeast, deep in the woods, deep in the forest. They're surrounded by lots of trees, lots of nature, lots of fresh, clean water, very small population. And they all have a traditionally like a homestead type of environment. The emphasis is to be as what they call off-grid as much as possible. You know, first of all, number one, get out of debt. Debt is what keeps you completely chained and strapped to the grid. Okay, credit cards, mortgages, car payments, college loans, all those things, debt. If you can get out of it, great. Now, the other thing about prepping that's very hard is that, you know, most people in America really can't do it effectively because a lot of people are urban. You know, I think 75% of the American population is now urban. It used to be the other way around. 100 years ago, it was all rural, agricultural, and the cities were much, much smaller. Everything has changed profoundly. You can, in theory, you can go off-grid, and so there's this tremendously popular movement on, social media about preppers and going off-grid because there's people who are on the grid, like myself, are thinking like, oh my God, what's going to happen when things get really, really bad? Are you in the suburbs? Are you in a condo downtown? Are you in a little ranch house? Are you in an apartment building? Are you on a homeowners association, heavily closed, gated community? Are you in a mansion? Whatever your situation is. All of that's connected to the grid. Now, like the real hardcore preppers are out there. They're building their tiny homes, their cabins. They're stacking up with enormous power reserves for battery packs and diesel and gasoline generators, solar battery packs, and so on and so on. And then the other emphasis, of course, hold on. You know who's here, don't you? You want to? Oh, I thought he was going to supervise this little Bubba. So I'm going to warm everything up fairly soon, but while I'm here, I'm just going to spontaneously go at it. So when I came in from being out, I was out for my early morning coffee, and I saw my file, which I was just showing you on the desk. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, should I toss that or not? Or should I do like a year in review? I thought, it's too much. I can't handle it. We're all trying to live in the present and move forward day by day. And sometimes it's just futile to, do the rewind. There's only one retrograde at the moment, and that's Uranus. And that's going to be with us to the end of the month. And then in February, it's going to be all on. All celestial bodies, all the planets in our solar system moving direct. compared to our view. So, yeah, you got to kind of get in with the motion, get in with the plan. So I've been filling up with lots of, like my antenna are on really serious full alert at the moment. I'm trying to absorb energy and information and distill it and process it so I can have a sense of ability to make decisions to do this or do that with my time and my energy and my resources. That's something that we all have to do. And everybody's situations can change at any moment in time. Some of you might remember how Precious Moments, she's a regular here, she ended up in very, very deep trouble with her family. She's a single mom, a nurse in Canada with 3 young kids. And because she refused to be injected, the hospital fired her. You know, they decided just to fire you because she would not comply with the evil agenda. And so she ended up, you know what, okay, that's it. Okay, I don't want to be owned and controlled by them, by they, the swarm, the cabal, the global elites. And as you know, Canada is heavily infected right now by global elites. It's very scary, very frightening, because Canada is just across the border. Man, I don't know if they have any hope left in Canada. So she's had an extremely hard time, but she found shelter through a church and eventually had recourse with the landlords and landowners and has started to restabilize herself. But it was about 1.5 years, at least, where basically homeless with 3 kids. What do you do? Very scary. And right now I'm also connecting with another TarotLumination subscriber over in Austria. Very similar stories unfolding over there. And again, where do you track it? You track it back to the economy, the government. Who's running all this stuff? Things don't have to be the way they are, but they are the way they are because they are the way they are. And so it makes a lot of people question. All over the world, 8 billion people are starting to question, what the hell is going on? Who's running the show here? And there's this awakening that's starting to happen across the world where people are either in shock or they're being pushed into realization or they've been denying the realization and then it comes to them anyway. But it's like an awakening. Okay, Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to be very much about awakening. Uranus is about awakening. Okay, and it can be very shocking for people who have been, let's say, asleep. And so you can expect a lot of disruption, upheaval, revolution. As more and more people become awake, they're going to push back on the last 18 years of global elites trying to impose the global elite swarm agenda across humanity, which is about basically enslaving the whole of humanity, not just nation by nation, communist country by communist country, but the whole world. Okay? In a few months, the WHO will be activating its global health care agenda, and the United States has apparently already signed off on it. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's happening under the administration of Grandpa Joe, of course, and the DHS and the CDC and all. It's disgusting. So I've been trying to collate information, collect it all. And the way I calm myself is by reminding myself then, well, everything's exactly as it should be. Why was that so? Why is it so? It's because it can't be any other way. I'm sitting here on the front lines going, I told you so. Look, there's Pluto in Aquarius doing this, and then, oh, there's the thing in Capricorn, and then there's the Scorpio-Taurus axis for global financial chaos and upheaval. It's all happening, okay? So like, I'm kind of in a twilight limbo land because I'm very, very attracted to going off grid. Okay, there's a couple of YouTubers I really like. One is Patrick Humphrey. There's a couple of others like Canadian Prepper and a couple of others, and they are shining examples. There's also Doug and Tracy, Off Grid with Doug and Tracy. But the thing is, like, even the most extreme off-gridders like these people, they have certain things that are essential. I talked about this earlier. You got to have raw land. You have to have plenty of raw land, very fertile raw land, preferably with timber and a lot of privacy, security, fresh water, whatever that means, like a stream, a lake, a river access, or whatever it is. Hello, Delicia. Nice to see you. I've just been putting up this video because I'm trying to rationalize everything that I felt early this morning and share it. I had a bit of a flashback looking at all the astrodoodles from the last few months of 2023. And now here we are at the point of critical mass heading into 2024 with the tipping point right now. We're at very, very close to the exact tipping point, which is going to be January, middle of January, 20th, 21, and 22. 20, 21, and 22 of January. That is the tipping point. There's no going back. And leading up to it, of course, we've had many, many months of revealing it to heal it, where all the heavy pressure from the Sagittarius transits have been pointing onto Neptune in Pisces, 25 degrees, 24 degrees, exposing and calling out and demanding the truth, because the world is smothered in fog, delusion, lies, betrayal, deception, theft, blackmail, murder, crime, corruption, treason, at the highest degrees. Hello, Ann Edwards. Hello. Yeah, I'm just doing a quickie short video here because I wanted to vent a few things. So, I was examining my situation, and a couple of other things they don't talk too much about in the prepper world. In the prepper world, it's mostly about how do you do canning, how do you store your beans, how do you create storage spaces for your canned goods, your bottled goods, your dry goods, where are you going to put all your rice and flour and sugar, things like that. How are you going to get hold of proteins, for example? Are you going to have freezers for things like beef, chicken, turkey, pork, seafood? What are you going to do? Are you going to hunt? Are you if you're in the middle of, I don't know, like in Las Vegas, where I'm at, I can't just go out the back door hunting. I can't do it. Anyway, there's really no livestock here. There's no there's no wild animal wild animals here to hunt, and I'm not a hunter anyway, because there's no water, and so every situation is different. If you're totally urbanized and you are on the grid, in other words, you've got a YouTube access like we have right now, you're on the grid. You've got a smartphone, you've got computer, you've got internet, you're on the grid. You probably do a lot of your banking and stuff on your smartphone, and you collect this or that benefit from here, you send money here, receive money there, you're on the grid. And I was watching a really, really highly respected off-grid prepper today, and very shortly I realized, okay, so you've got this beautiful place way out in the middle of central Ontario. You've got all the cool stuff. You got the skills, you got the tools. He's built several beautiful cabins. He's got all the off-grid power sources. He's got indoor protected, what do they call it? Like greenhouses for growing all the plants and vegetables that you need. He's got fencing and stuff to raise chickens, and he's raised goats and rabbits and meat chickens and egg chickens, and he sometimes goes out hunting for moose or deer or whatever. And that's all great. It comes over beautifully on YouTube. Like, oh man, I wish I could be a prepper and go off grid and have my own homestead. It's fantastic. The thing is, it's actually a tremendous amount of work. You have to be physically very fit. You have to be young enough to be able to do it. You have to have enough courage and resources to actually go off grid and say goodbye to the extreme convenience that we have from being on grid. The thing about being on grid, of course, is that, you're vulnerable to being on grid. Hello, Russian Thoughtbot. And so I was going to write to this guy. I was thinking, okay, I really admire your skills, your talents, your dedication to going off grid. He was obviously born for this. He started very young, and everything kind of lined up. But then on one of his latest videos, he's sitting in his beautiful cabin. He's very, very sick. He's got some kind of really bad flu. His wife has it. It's very difficult for him to tend the animals, chop the wood, tend the fires, whatever it is. And all he's left with is he's got all this beautiful acreage and generators and ATV vehicles for going around, checking the property and everything. But he gets sick just like the rest of us. So what do? You got to drive 150 miles to see a doctor. That means you have to have a vehicle. So it turns out he's got big diesel truck. He's got a car. So that has to have insurance. Okay, he's got to have fuel storage, so he's not really off grid. How do you really get off grid? I don't see how. You have to have money. When he goes back in, if he's going to buy food sources that he can't buy or create through his prepping world, you got to go to a grocery store or a corner store or something and pick up those ingredients. Maybe he can walk in with a moose or an elk on his back and say, hey, can I trade you one moose for half of your store of stuff? And it's just not going to work, obviously. So there's like the hard physical aspects of prepping. Canadian Prepper is a prepper. He's got 1.2 million people on his channel. There's Full Spectrum Survival, huge channels. But actually, they live in urban settings. And they talk about all this prepper stuff, and it's very educational. They cover everything like food, canning, heating, clothing, tents, storing fuels, storing electricity, generators, power sources, planting plants and hunting animals, and on and on. It's fantastic. It's very inspiring, but they're totally on grid. They're as on grid as I am. They're as on grid as you are, okay? Now, there's certain things that they do have as an advantage. If things get really, really ugly, in other words, there's a hot war, and there's things like bombs, rockets, missiles, riots, military chaos, if there's martial law in Canada or America or Mexico or something like that, at least they got, that protection. And they've got tons of stuff. So they will survive better than your suburban or urban wannabe prepper. But still, they're on grid. However, they can go effectively off grid for extended periods of time, like a few weeks, a few months if necessary. In theory, I could go off grid here and probably survive for 3 to 6, perhaps even, close to 9 months. Nothing. Just imagine disconnecting your smartphone, your computer, your internet, and everything, and just relying on what you've got. Because there are plenty of people who are suggesting you might want to prepare for that. Okay? You've seen what's happening on the southern border. 50 counties, 50 counties in Texas, counting today, have now declared an invasion on the border. And that declaration is now being sued by the Grandpa Joe administration for trying to override the federal government. Whereas in law, the states have the right to declare an invasion, which is effectively a declaration of war, which gives them a legal, authority to do whatever has to be done to protect themselves. So we're just seeing the opening of the curtain into the Pluto and Aquarius world, the whole agenda. Also remember, all this stuff that's happening, it's all highly predictable. You know, if you hang out here with us. The thing is, in America, we're probably the most insulated of all to the realities of what's going on. Hardcore American patriots and hardcore American preppers are fully aware. Hardcore conservatives and people who are, let's say, very concerned about making sure they are in touch with reality as opposed to the facade that is being presented. Hold on, give me a second. It's starting to warm up here. All right, so what are we going to do? Yeah, Russia. I'm reading Russian Thoughtbot. Prepping is good, but mobility might be necessary. Yes, it's absolutely necessary. You can't take all this stuff with you, and you don't want to be seen with a bunch of nice kit gear while traveling. Exactly. I mean, there's so many things that factor into it, and we're not used to it inside the United States. There hasn't been any massive war inside the United States since the Civil Wars, whenever that was, 150 years ago or something. I'm not a historian, so don't quote me. I don't know. We have lots of skirmishes, of course, all day, every day. America is a very relatively free, open society where you can be a hardcore criminal, abuser, whatever you want. You can be a religious extremist. You can start a cult. You can become a multi-billionaire. You can be whoever and do whatever you want. You really can't do that almost anywhere else in the world without huge amounts of crime, corruption, betrayal, theft, and so on. In America, you can do that through merit. M-E-R-I-T. Okay? Opportunity and merit, and because we have a constitution and a culture that allows for that. However, this culture, this constitution is under heavy, heavy attack because it is the last remaining vestige of defense against the swarm. The global elites. Them. Okay? We are enemy number one. America itself is enemy number one. And inside the United States, the core is the American patriot. And they have to be exterminated as far as the swarm is concerned. So I'm very concerned. Okay? Mostly the people like myself are the least likely to want to actually get up and do something preposterous. We operate from a defensive position, okay? And people like myself are starting to get a little pissed off because we're seeing our rights eroded and our Constitution being systematically destroyed by the swarm, okay? So the things that I'm talking about here right now are themes that are going to play out over the next 20 years. Okay, we just here happen to be on the very, very front line, tippy edges of this level of awareness. But a lot of Americans are not aware. A lot of them are in denial. A lot of them are completely oblivious. And I know from some of the stories that I'm hearing that there are a lot of Americans who are literally, oh, what are you talking about, man? Because all they ever see is the media that is presented to them, which is full of just and distractions and nonsense, like your favorite movie star, your favorite celebrities, your favorite pop star, your favorite sports team, the weather, what else, vacations, advertising, you know, how to become a girl when you're a man, how to become a man when you're a girl, all these kinds of things. And so the veil is slowly being opened. But the swarm doesn't like that, so they're trying to keep it closed. If you look, I talked about it yesterday, there's a massive compression happening when the Sagittarius energy and then in the Capricorn energy, and it's still pushing very, very hard on the break point, which is Neptune. Okay, Neptune in Pisces, 24, 25, 26 degrees. And what's happening, it's not headlines today, but it's ongoing. It's the impeachment proceedings against Grandpa Joe and his gang. There's the impeachment momentum going against Mayorkas who's responsible for the collapsing border in America, and so on and so on. And they're even talking about impeachment against Chris Wray for the FBI. I don't know about the CIA, but anyway. And so the swarm, as represented by Grandpa Joe and his gang, they have about, 10 months to do as much damage as possible. So over that next 10 months, so that's going to be the first opening degrees of Pluto in Aquarius. So it's going to be 0 to 1, maybe to 2. Well, actually, let me just check here. I'm going to flip towards, let me just check towards November 5th, 2024, which is the big election. And I've already looked at the astrology. It's shocking. Okay, there's going to be every attempt at fraud, deception, betrayal, lies, subversion, coercion, destruction, anything to destroy the possibility of a real election. And so on November 5th, we've got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, all retrograde. That's going to be fun. Mercury is direct. That helps a little bit. So what we're going to see towards the end of the year is like retrograde flashbacks to all the stuff and the jiggery pokery and shenanigans that the swarm use as part of their toolkit to destroy America. It's going to be full alert. It's going to be maximum throttle all year long, right up to November 5th and the day after while they're counting votes. Maximum throttle from the swarm, the deep state, the global elites, the folks who are trying to basically destroy everything good about America. They're not going to stop, okay? Let me look over here. I'm just looking at the 5th. Scorpio Sun, Sagittarius Moon. Oh, Mars is going to be Leo on that day. Wow. Okay, so that's going to help. Okay, anyway, let's have a look. Oh my God, Pluto. Okay, so I just got to check something. Actually, there is a retrograde. You know what? I'm sorry. I lied earlier. Give me a second here. This is an awakening to me because I didn't realize this. January, February, and March, Pluto is going into Aquarius. Okay, so that's going to really set off alarm bells across the world. Revolution, revolution, revolution. We got the people who are revolting are going to be very lit up and motivated to put a stop to the swarm that are trying to take over the world for a one world organization, okay? So let me correct myself. Because I was saying earlier there's no going back. It's Pluto and Aquarius full on, but it's not. It's true. It's not true. I made a big mistake earlier. We got Pluto and Aquarius for the whole of January, the whole of February, the whole of March, the whole of April. By the end of April, Pluto will be in just heading into 2 degrees Aquarius. So we're going to have serious momentum by then. But when we get into May, it flips back. So it's going to go retrograde, 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, 1 degree, back through Aquarius, back to the 0 point where we are in a few days. And then it's going to the 0 point again. Oh my God, I was not aware. It's going into the 0 point on the 18th of July. Mark your calendars, 18th of July. So that's going to be a major tipping point astrologically for the world. God, I should have done my homework. And so then it's going to tip back into Capricorn. Oh my God. back into Capricorn for July, August, September, hold on. Give me a second. Yeah, the tipping point is July. So all retrograde. I'm doing this live real time in front of you. Sorry about that. I don't normally do this, but it's a very, very important stuff. Then Pluto is retrograde back into Capricorn at the 29.9 degree crisis mark. Okay, for the whole of September and October. So it's a very short retrograde for Pluto. Oh my God. Oh my God. September and October, it's going to be chaos and mayhem regarding the American government, the political stuff in America, okay? And then Pluto goes direct again in Capricorn. We're still at the 20. It's like where we are today right now. Right now today, we're at the 29.5 degree mark of desperation. So what we're seeing is the energy of desperation by the swarm. The swarm is going absolutely berserk crazy. Imagine a swarm of bees going on the attack. They're going absolutely crazy, trying to take down the enemy, which is people like me. Okay? So they're going berserk, especially towards the end of this year, especially into October. And then into November, oh my God. So the election day, oh my God. The election day itself, November the 5th, this is the big election. We have the same degree that we have today. Basically 29.5 degrees Capricorn. Oh my God. Oh man. Oh gosh. Okay. So it's full on. Basically, the whole of the rest of this year is just going to be a battle between the swarm, the global elites, the American uniparty, the American administrative state, which is this massively cancerous stage 4 metastatic tumor that has completely infected the whole of the United States. It's going to be full on all year round as the swarm continues to attack in its attempt to destroy America. Okay? I'm just giving you a heads up right now. I don't know the details of what that's going to look like, but it's going to happen. Guam is going to tip over. Yeah, I heard about it. Isn't there some island? They're scared that it's going to go in the middle of the Pacific. So, yeah. Okay, so it's funny. Just after the election, November the 5th, a few weeks later, Pluto goes back into Aquarius. And that, I believe, is when Aquarius sticks with us for 20 years to come with its own retrogrades. But I'm sorry, I misinformed you earlier about 2024. So 2024 for the whole year is just going to be one piece of, it's warfare. It is war, okay? The real war is between the swarm and American patriots. You can reinterpret that however you want. Use your own language. I hope you've watched this channel enough to know what I'm actually talking about, okay? So, it's full-on war. It's psychological warfare. It's political warfare. It's financial warfare. And it's going to go on all year, past the election. The actual election day itself is going to be complete, utter chaos, okay? Guaranteed. So what can you do between now and then? In my own little world, what I'm trying to do is my own version of prepping. You got to make the best of what you got. Examine your life, examine your resources. What is your core nature? What is your stage in life? What is your expectation? Would you rather just kind of observe and sit and watch and pray that everything kind of works out? Are you going to bury your head in the sand? Are you going to do whatever you can in your power to protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself as the swarm continues to attack? Because their goal is to strip you of your privacy, strip you of your money, and strip you of your ability to express yourself and defend yourself. That is their goal. Once they do that, they know that they have crushed you. They have destroyed you, and you'll never come back. Okay? So, if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. To me, it's absolutely terrifying. You just go outside, everything looks normal. I'll run into a family, like yesterday, Love Driver was telling me, oh, it's perfectly normal now. At the little dollar store over there, a swarm of 10 little kids of a certain 10 little kids were obviously heading towards the dollar store to go on a raid, this thieving mission. And this dollar store had people inside it, and the owners came out and said, you cannot come in here. Get out, go away. And so the little wannabe gangbangers, they were, according to Love Driver, they were aged probably from 10 to 14. So they are learning young. They're learning that from social media and from their parents. Your job now, the way to live now, is to go out and steal. And the little kids were yelling back at the store manager, you're a racist. Okay, so that sort of stuff is, typical result of psyops, decades of erosion of healthy culture in America. That's just one tiny, tiny example. Another example of bad things that have happened very recently is that I think there's 4 or 5 people who died very, very recently in 1 degree of separation from myself, or 2 degrees of separation. And it's all because of this, because they received this thing. They were more or less okay before, but they followed the message like, you gotta get your thing. Anyway, for me personally, I just want to kind of get this off my chest. I would love to go into nature. I would love to be back with trees. I've lived this way before. You have to understand, I've lived way out in the boonies, surrounded by trees, water, nature, streams, lakes, rivers, 4 seasons, and a general state of abundance. It's very different here. I have a lot of safety and security and privacy here, but the climate is it's not healthy for me. I'm really struggling with the climate. Also, as you know, I posted something a while back. Las Vegas gets sprayed regularly. I've got a little video. I should probably just put it up here on the channel. It's mind-boggling to see, a dozen jet streams going across the sky this way and another dozen going this way. So you get this like woven plaid fabric effect, and it makes the sky like this. It turns it into this white powder. You can't see the sun properly, but it's still bright. So it's like you get this weird glare. It's horrific, and it's very, very toxic. Okay? Yeah, it's scary. Between FEMA camps and savage times, where is one to go? Yeah, there are so many tangents and so many tendrils and so many aspects to the storyline that we're talking about here. I can't get onto my Google Earth search thing through my computers here because I was searching something over in a place called Fairbanks. That's a city in Alaska, very far north, and they've been building enormous FEMA camps up there. I should probably not admit. I'm not going to talk about it. Sorry, I can't talk about it. I'm already in enough trouble as it is with my channel. So basically, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Mostly what I'm doing is making sure I'm focusing on water and food, safety, security and safety, self-defense, safety and security and defense, making sure transportation still works, making sure that overheads and expenses are brought down from here to here, to here, to here, to create as much margin as possible for whatever kind of finances you have in your world. I know my system, I know where I stand, and I am trying to refine and purify. And basically, again, we'll go back to the basics on my little book. I got to protect my money, protect my privacy, protect myself, because it's very marginal, and I don't want to be on the sticky, nasty end of the swarm. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to me. I am still utterly dependent on the grid. I don't see how I can ever fully get off the grid. I'm too old to become a woodsman pioneer up in northern Canada. It's just not going to happen, I've got health issues. I have to be close to hospitals and doctors every 3 months at least. So everyone has to figure out their own version of how are you going to survive? How are you going to navigate through this incredible chapter in history that we're all going to live through in the next 20 years? Okay, I'm going to stop now. Goodbye. I'm going to play my little song to say goodbye, and you can chat amongst yourselves if you feel like it for a moment. And no, I'm just going to say goodbye. Okay, though. Cheerio. I hope you got something useful out of this. Let me just show you one last look in case you arrived late. If you watch, these are all my Astrodoodles from, let's see, when did I store them from? I just want, because I did this earlier in the show. Look, I was talking about 2024 way back then. Wow. So, I'm going back into, I've got Astrodoodles going back to, there's the North Node stuff. Oh, that's when the North Node changed. Anyway, I've got Astrodoodles going back about 6 months. Anyway, this is all now just history. I talked about it earlier on the show today, just now. So, we have to live in the present. Here we are. That's old. Don't look at it. Stay in tune. This is where we are right now. Okay, the 8th over here. So make the best of what you've got. Do what you can. Do your own version of prepping because you're going to need it. Okay, bye-bye. See you guys soon. Oh, if you need a reading or anything like that, you can go over to TarotLumination. You can click the donate page, put some money in, connect with me, and we'll schedule a little reading for you, okay? Hello, Robin. I am just signing off, okay? So there we go. That's the, I'll update it. I didn't mean to scare anybody. I just wanted to share some perspectives. Get it out there. Clear the dust. Clear the dust. Make sure you're seeing reality. Make sure that you are doing everything that you can to get to the facts, the truth. It's so, so important. Bye.